Imagine this for a moment. It's 1909. On a ship traveling from Vienna to New York, two geniuses sit at the same table, analyzing each other's dreams for 7 straight hours. One says, religion is humanity's greatest illusion. The other replies, no. Religion is the voice of the soul. These two men were Sigmund Freud and Carl Gustav Jung. And today, I'm going to ask you, which one was right? Welcome to one of the greatest intellectual clashes in the history of psychology. Freud and Jung were not just psychiatrists. They were titans wrestling with humanity's deepest questions: religion, the unconscious, the search for meaning, and the nature of existence itself. Both were revolutionary thinkers. Both were brilliant. But when it came to religion, the gap between them grew so wide that it destroyed a friendship that had lasted for years. And this wasn't just a personal dispute. It was a battle between science and spirit. Between reason and meaning. Between two visions of what it means to be human. Are you ready? Let's begin. Let's start by understanding Freud. For Freud, religion was one thing, an illusion. But be careful, Freud did not mean a lie. He meant an illusion in a psychological sense, a belief born from our deepest wishes. And according to Freud, humanity's deepest wish is protection. Like a helpless child facing an overwhelming universe, humans feel vulnerable. We fear death. We fear nature's cruelty. We fear meaninglessness. So what did we do? We created a father figure in the sky. We invented God. In his book The Future of an Illusion, Freud argued that religion is the expression of a collective neurosis. Just as individuals develop obsessive rituals to manage anxiety, societies develop religious rituals, prohibitions, and moral systems to cope with existential fear. Let me ask you something. Have you ever imagined your life without the sense of security religion provides? If you removed that reassurance completely, what would you feel? Freud's answer was clear: anxiety. Deep existential anxiety. People cling to religion, he believed, out of weakness. Out of fear. Out of an ego that cannot fully confront reality. Freud once suggested that for an educated adult, returning to religion is like returning to childhood. Harsh? Absolutely. Now let's step into Jung's world. And here, everything changes. Jung was Freud's student. Freud even considered him his intellectual heir. But at some point, Jung stopped and said, "This is not enough." For Jung, religion was not an illusion. It was an expression of the collective unconscious. Let's unpack that. Jung believed that beneath our personal unconscious lies a deeper layer shared by all humanity, the collective unconscious. Within it live archetypes, the hero, the shadow, the great mother, the wise old man. Religion, according to Jung, is a symbolic map of these archetypes. Why do similar myths appear across cultures? Why does the motif of the dying and resurrecting God exist in different civilizations? Why do we constantly see stories of light battling darkness? Jung's answer: because these are universal structures of the human psyche. They are symbols emerging from the deepest layers of the mind. And more than that, Jung believed religious experience is central to psychological integration. Religion doesn't weaken you, it completes you. It supports what he called individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic and whole self. Let me ask you this. Have you ever stood in a sacred place, performed a ritual, or whispered a prayer, and felt connected to something greater than yourself? Jung would say that feeling is real. Reducing it to just brain chemistry would be, in his view, a denial of the deepest layer of human existence. So why did these two geniuses part ways? The simple answer is scientific disagreement. But the real story goes deeper. Freud grew increasingly uncomfortable with Jung's interest in mysticism. Jung explored ideas like synchronicity, mythology, and symbolic spirituality. For Freud, who was trying to establish psychology as a rigorous science, this felt dangerous, almost like betrayal. Jung, however, noticed something in Freud as well. He believed Freud's rejection of religion had itself become dogmatic. Jung once implied that Freud defended his scientific worldview with the same rigidity that religious believers defend their faith. Then, in 1912, Jung published Psychology of the Unconscious, later revised as Symbols of Transformation, challenging Freud's core ideas about libido and psychic energy. 2 years later, in 1914, their correspondence ended. The friendship was over. Two minds. Two directions. Perhaps this tells us something important. Truth sometimes lives in the space between opposing visions. Now we arrive at the central question. Who was right? Here's the honest answer: there is no single answer. Freud asked powerful and necessary questions about religion. Religion can indeed reinforce guilt, fear, and authoritarian control. Sometimes people hide behind rituals instead of confronting reality. Freud's critique remains relevant. Even modern neuroscience suggests that certain religious experiences can function as anxiety regulation mechanisms. But Jung saw something Freud did not. Religion is not only a defense mechanism. It is also a meaning-making system. Religious symbols and myths have, for centuries, helped individuals process trauma, strengthen communities, and construct identity. Existential therapy and meaning-centered psychology often align more closely with Jung's perspective. Consider Viktor Frankl. After surviving concentration camps, he concluded that meaning is the most powerful factor in human survival. And that meaning often emerges through spiritual or religious frameworks. Freud might have dismissed that. Jung would have said, exactly. So what about you? As you watched this video, which side did you feel closer to? Freud's cold but razor-sharp rationality? Or Jung's vast and symbolic inner universe? Maybe both were partially right. Maybe religion is both an illusion born from human vulnerability and a genuine voice rising from the depths of the soul. Maybe Freud taught us what to question. And Jung taught us what to explore. And perhaps the greatest tragedy of the modern human being is this: we are neither as brave as Freud in questioning, nor as deep as Jung in feeling. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. I publish weekly content on psychology, philosophy, and the depths of the human mind. Write in the comments, are you on Freud's side or Jung's? Let's discuss. See you in the next video.